Welcome to the More with Less podcast, a Zoom edition. I couldn't be any more thrilled than to introduce to you the new Wake Forest men's basketball head coach, Steve Forbes. Coach Forbes, thanks for spending some time with us this afternoon.
Hey, Les, thanks for having me. You just said something to me that was one of the most important aspects of coaching I actually learned my very first year in coaching. That is, more is less and less is more. I'm serious. I mean, that's that was one of the most important things I learned, not to overcomplicate things. So I won't try to overcomplicate your podcast today.
You can complicate my podcast anytime you want, Coach. We're looking forward to getting some insights from you and to give you a chance to share more about your story and about who you are over the next few minutes. And like I said, I know Wake Forest fans are excited beyond belief. I've had an incredible surge of activity on my site with nothing but positive about the hire, and looking forward to seeing what you can do. We'll start off. Do you have any news for us about staff or about players?
Yeah.
Anything that you can share with us that's happened the last day or two about how this group is shaping up?
Well, staff-wise, initially I brought Brooks Savage, who's been with me since Tennessee. I basically raised him. He was a manager. Then he was for 4 years, and he was our GA. And then I hired him in Northwest Florida. And then he was at Chattanooga with Will Wade when I got the job at East Tennessee State, and I hired him from there. So he was with me 5 years, at ETSU. So he's been with me about 10 or 11 years. He reminds me of myself a long time ago. At that age, he's a lot better looking than me. He's got a lot more hair, but he's kind of he can do it all, man. He can recruit, he can coach. He's great relationships, academics. He's the real deal. BJ Mackey, I think his name rings true in this area. But more importantly, when you meet BJ, one of the best people I've ever been around, man. Just great presence. Players love him. Obviously he's a McDonald's All-American. He gets mad at me when I say, I like to recruit Burger King All-Americans. I want to kick McDonald's butt. He gets offended by that. But great recruiter, especially, in the Carolinas. Everybody knows his name. Really good coach. Him and his wife, Brittany, just really good people. So really excited to have those guys. Frank Davis came. He's my director of basketball operations. I couldn't do it without him. I didn't have a secretary at East Tennessee State. So Frank points me in the right direction. He's not a secretary. He's a really good he can do everything. And he's very organized. And really truthfully, I never heard anybody say a bad word about Frank ever, not in the profession and not on campus. And that's a hard thing to do. And so I'm really excited about those guys. And I'm waiting on Jason Shea, to see what happens. I'm hoping that he becomes the head coach at East Tennessee State. I'm definitely at some point going to bring Mike Starkey, my strength coach, who it's crazy, Les. He interviewed last year. Shaka Smart flew him to Texas right before he went to Europe. Mike Anderson flew him to Arkansas. Jared Haas out to Stanford. But I have survived somehow all those, and so now getting him to have the chance to come here, I don't think there's anybody more excited than him when he saw the pictures of the weight room.
I'm
think
sure.
He's about to go crazy. And then in one of the other support roles, I think I'm close to hiring Antanas Kavalauskas. Antanas played for me at Texas A&M. He spent 15 years in Europe playing. He played 2 Olympic teams with Lithuania. He's really close. He's friends with Darius Sandalia. I think he'll be a great mentor for our team. He's 6'10", just a really good person. And then, I've met with Randolph Childress on Saturday. We had a really good visit. And I've assured him that he is a member of our staff. He's here working. I think that, it comes down to kind of what happens with Jason, on what position these guys fill. But really excited to have him. I love his perspective and his experience. Not only is he a great player, but he's a great coach, and he understands Wake. He understands, the school, the culture, the people. And so having him around and having him on staff, I think is going to be an invaluable asset moving forward.
Sounds like a staff Wake Forest fans should be excited about.
Yes, I think so. There's a mix of some, and there's a couple more support things maybe we'll do, but the core is there. Listen, I'm a very loyal person, and I wasn't going to go anywhere without my staff. We wanted Tennessee together, really. Me, Brooks, and think about it. Brooks, Jason, and I have been together since Tennessee, and then we won big at Northwest Florida, and then we won big at East Tennessee State. So, there's really no reason to upset that apple cart, and I'm excited to get these guys here.
Have any exciting news yet on player retention that fans should know about?
Well, I'll start with the biggest one, and that's Olivier, and Saar, and recruiting's different. You can't go see kids right now, but you can see your own kids, and so the whole staff, me, Brooks, BJ, Randolph, and Frank, drove yesterday to visit with Olivier face to face, and I thought it went really well. He's as you guys know, a fabulous, fabulous young man, and just loved him. And we were there for a couple hours. I thought we connected well for the first time, and we've talked on the phone, but not, face to face. And we had video there and laid it out for him, how we'll be different, how he'll be different, how we'll play him. Those things are important. I went through a lot of things that I would do in a house during a home visit, basically. And then I got on FaceTime with him and his parents in France, and we had a good visit. We started out good, and then Olivier had to do a lot of translating after. I don't speak French, so but I told him if he came back, I'd try to learn.
Je ne sais pas. That's the only thing I know in French, and that means I don't know. That's all I know.
Ultimately, I'll tell you this, and I'll tell the Wake fans this. I want him to come back because he wants to come back. I don't want him to come back because somebody talks him into it. I want it to be in his heart to come here. And it is, Wake is deep in his heart. I promise you that. Now, he's going to have who's who recruiting him, and I get it. But that's the people we have to beat anyway to be good, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to swing for the fences and put our best foot forward and see where it goes. I don't expect it to be a real fast process. I don't know. We'll just have to play it by ear. I'm not going to pressure him. I told him that. I'm just going to continue to get to know him, and we hit it off really well. We sat and just visited by ourselves. I probably 30 minutes, laughed about fishing, and I got a good fishing picture I got to send him. And I'm really disappointed. I just sold my bass boat this year. Probably should have kept the darn thing, but especially if he likes to fish. So that part went well. Over the weekend, obviously, having Coach Childress back, calmed some nerves a little bit too. I'm not going to lie, that helped a ton. And, we reached out and started to recreate the roster again. And I have to look at my list here. I'm sorry. Isaiah Mucius is back, Tariq Ingram, Ishmael Mossad, Odie Oguama's back, Ian DeBose, Isaiah Wilkins, Quadre Adams, Marcus, what's his name? Watson. I got so many names in my head because I just talked to him. I just talked to his dad. So, we're going, right? We're getting there. We're creeping, and then we got to recruit some other people, and we're on the phone 24/7 doing that. There you go, 247. Just plugged you. So it's going to be a process, to piece this thing back together in unprecedented times. But Leslie, I just got the job really Thursday, and we're only talking Monday. I think we've made some pretty impressive progress in a very, very short amount of time.
It sounds really good. You talked a little bit about your staff that you're bringing with you, but one of the things about your journey that intrigues me is some of the coaches you've been with during your time. Yeah. And I'm curious, do you consider yourself a part of anybody's coaching tree? You've been on Billy Gillespie's staff, you've been on Bruce Pearl's staff, you've been with Greg Marshall. do you belong on anybody's coaching tree, or is that those branches just don't exist?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know if I could honestly. I would tell you this. My coaching philosophy is on the Billy Gillespie tree on defense. Okay, and that goes back to Coach Self. That goes back to Coach Sutton, to Coach Iba. Okay, so I could attach myself defensively to Billy. Defensively, like in pressure and pressing on out of bounds plays, playing fast-paced basketball, promoting your program day to day. I could go on the Coach Pearl tree, which would be the Dr. Tom Davis tree, where I met Coach. You got to remember, now I'm from Iowa.
Yeah.
That's where I met Bruce at a very, very young age. And when I saw him coach at a clinic with all this passion and energy, I just told myself at 23, 24 years old, I got to get to know that guy. He's going somewhere, And so, and I think with Greg, I'm on his tree because I got the job at East Tennessee State, and I wouldn't have got it without him. And he's the whole architect of the program, how to run the daily operation, day to day. He's just a brilliant coach and a brilliant person, And so, I say this all the time. If you look at education, you get a bachelor's degree at Texas A&M with Billy, you get a master's degree with Bruce at Tennessee, and then you get a PhD there with Greg. And oh, by the way, I coached with Porter Moser too at Illinois State. I coached in the Final Four as well. So I've coached with 3 Final Four coaches. So that was a really good question. And I would say the way I just answered it, probably the way I, just breaking it down by what I learned overall, those were the trees that I would be on. But you got to remember, Les, I'm from Lone Tree. So there's only one tree, and that's Lone Tree.
Nice. How's the family faring during this transition period, and when do you think that they're going to have a chance to join you in the Winston-Salem area?
Well, they came down. The great thing about this move is the shortest move I think I've ever made.
How long is the drive?
3 hours.
All right.
And it's not. Let's just say it's not Kansas to Idaho or Idaho to Louisiana. All right. So Janetta and the kids came over Saturday morning and been hanging out around the office, and then they drove around town and started to get a feel. Drove by some houses, maybe not. I didn't have a lot of time. I jumped in the car for a few minutes, I think last night. But, everybody's happy and excited. Brought the dog. And, I think we're going to have to probably clear out of the office here probably by tomorrow. With the COVID-19 thing still, at a high level. And it's hard to keep social distancing and all those things here on campus. So they've been awesome to let us be in here. But I think it'd be best for us to probably go home. And I need to go back and I need to clean out my office and take care of paper. I mean, I just left,
Yeah.
And so and there's really nothing we can't do there we can't do here, except that I don't get to sit in this Taj Mahal of basketball facilities and just sit here and go, man, this is where we work now. I mean, I'm telling you, as you know, it's incredible facility.
I believe that Mitch Shaw was in town probably when you first got in town too. So was he around when you first got a chance to take a look at the facilities?
No, he wasn't. He was, Mitt was involved in the interview process. I was just texting him actually before you and I came on. But no, he didn't get to show me around. It was crazy. When I got here Thursday, they had me over in the Manchester Hall, doing a bunch of things. Had to do the Zoom with the team, both teams.
Yeah.
We're doing this. And I just said, hey, man, I need to see that facility over there. Okay. Somebody needs to walk me over there. And I was like, I was dying to see this thing, right? Because, when you look online, you only see, certain things. You can't really piece it together. And it was like Christmas. It's like you open the door and you go, woo, wow, we got that. Just incredible. So I came over with Barry Faircloth, and then I went back, and the staff was still in there, and I said, well, come on, we're going to go look again. So I walked over with them, and so it was great. It was been awesome.
One of the things that struck me in your comments when we talked, I guess it was Thursday, and then when you did your press conference virtually on Friday, is you've stated a couple times now that this was the most extensive interview process that you've been through. So yeah. I have to ask, what were a couple of things that you found out about Wake Forest in that process that maybe you didn't know?
Well, a lot of things. I mean, honestly, Les, I didn't. I haven't really followed it. I mean, I understand Wake Forest has got tremendous basketball tradition. I get it. I just, I've never even been on campus, and so I didn't really know a whole lot other than the fact that, they played in the ACC. They had tradition, and I knew academically it was really strong. Typically these things kind of go just between a couple people, an AD and a associate AD, and they try to make it CIA level, like hush hush. And this was really, and this is probably why I felt so good about the job, because not only is Wake Forest looking for a fit, but I am too, and I have I walked away from a really good job, and so I had to make sure this was the right one, right? And so, John, obviously there's talk between search firm and agents that happens. But then, Sunday night, it wasn't a week ago last night, I was just sitting at home chilling, getting ready to watch Jordan, and the phone rings and it's John, and we have a really comfortable conversation, laughed about some things that happened in the past with us and family things. And, it was comfortable. And he said, listen, we'd like to interview you tomorrow. And I said, okay, appreciate the heads up, And so it was, the first round was on Monday, and it was John and some of his people and the dean, the provost, it was really good. And a couple other people. There were so many people in there. And it went for almost an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. But, it's like the press conference. You don't really know how people are reacting to you because you can't see them.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I thought I said something funny maybe, and I look around and there was nobody laughing. I'd be like, man, I don't know if I said something funny or, so then he had me call Dave Clawson. Dave and I had worked together at Tennessee. I didn't really know him, but we had a great visit. Obviously has a great pulse on Wake Forest and how to be successful. Tuesday, I got another interview with Mitch Shaw, Chris Paul, Tim Duncan, Dr. Hatch, and John. Pretty powerful. That wasn't quite as long, about an hour. And then I talked to Eric McGuire, who's Dean of Missions, and I talked to Jane Caldwell, and then John calls me about 3:30. He says, hey, can you meet me in Montreat, North Carolina at 7:30? I said, okay. So I threw on my suit. I probably had my suit on 5 times in a matter of about 48 hours. And let me tell you this. I said it was the greatest interview in the world because it's the only time in my life I ever interviewed in a suit and bare feet. It was awesome, And so I went to meet with John, 2 hours, and drove back. It was about an hour and a half to Johnson City. Felt good, and then Thursday it started to roll, and when that starts to happen, it's really between agent, search firm, AD, and then I was told to be over here Thursday. They kind of wanted me to come Wednesday night, and I was exhausted, man. I was like, man, I was like in the mental Olympics. I couldn't really do it. I didn't want to drive that far at night, and so I got up early on Thursday morning, brought my staff. I met with Dr. Hatch at his house, and then by noon, pretty much, I signed the contract to be the head coach of Wake Forest, and that's how it went.
Was there an epiphany anywhere along the line? I mean, you went from getting ready to watch the Jordan documentary Sunday night to a random phone call from John Curry. Was there any point along the line where you had an epiphany like, yeah, I think this is for me. This is for me?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think visiting with Eric in admissions, and Jane in student services, academics for athletics. I think those things really helped me. Just understanding the process of what it is to be a student here and not just get in school, but be a graduate, I think, and I know people were trying to say, well, he's not, he recruits JUCO kids, but the reality of it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay.
That's only what Markey said.
Markey's an idiot. I mean, it's just one of those things where I know me, okay, and I know what I like to do, and I became extremely excited about that component in recruiting. I don't think I've really, and it's no disrespect to East Tennessee State, because great med school, engineering, unbelievable school, Tennessee A&M, whatever. But I've never had that top 30 educational component in recruiting. Okay, so you can say, well, it's makes it harder. No. I think it really opens up a lot of doors too. Okay, and that's the way that was my mindset. I just had to understand the process of it.
There are Coach Forbes. There are some coaches I think use that as a crutch for a reason to not achieve, versus coaches like Dave Clawson who uses as a reason to find the right kids. There's a dichotomy there.
No question. It's just turning over rocks, man. It's just, anybody can, I always say this, like I'm from Iowa, but I'm from the show me state in recruiting. Okay. You got to show me with my eyes. I'm an old school recruiter. I want to go evaluate and watch. I don't really care who's recruiting you as long as I think you can play. And so that to me is the beauty of this job, is that you can do that. And then obviously you have to find players that not just love basketball, and they have to love basketball, but they must also love the fact of the idea of getting a degree at Wake Forest, and not only competing on the court, but in the classroom. And I'm just telling you, when you have both of those things, when you have that, you have a great team. My team this year was same. I mean, low maintenance, competed in the classroom, obviously competed on the court. And I think those things carry over. So I look at it as a positive. And then you throw these facilities, these fans, the ACC. I mean, come on, man. I mean, what more can a guy ask for, in reality? And so, yeah, I mean, it's just straight, from Lone Tree, Iowa. I didn't grow up in ACC country. I grew up in Big Ten country, But I also grew up in a time when Billy Packer, was doing all the games that I was watching. So I knew about Wake Forest, and I grew up. I'm about the same age as Mark Klein and Muggsy, and so I'm familiar. I was very familiar, but now I'm really familiar, and I learn more and more every day, and that really helps.
So, if I heard right, you were wrapped up with recruiting at ETSU, and your schedule was pretty much done as well. And you come into a situation where it's, have you been sleeping at night?
No.
I mean, I'm just curious.
No, my wife's kind of on me. She's like, you got to go to bed, My agent called me this morning. I texted him at 3:30 in the morning, and he was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I got to work, man. I
mean, I saw a tweet today from Coach Clawson or yesterday where he's like cleaning the house. That was probably the mode you were in. You were probably like borderline bored.
No, I was done with that. You got to understand, we qualified for the NCAA tournament the week before, Selection Sunday, right?
Yeah. So
we go through this week of, what are we going to, we're not really practicing, whatever. On Thursday afternoon, they canceled the NCAA tournament, okay? I meet with my team, which would be for the last time. I didn't realize it. I just thought of that, face-to-face Okay. That's in March, early March on a Friday. By Wednesday, they shut our campus down. So I had moved all my stuff home. Okay. Well, the first couple of weeks I turned into, a cleaning service. My wife had me power washing and painting. And I mean, this is March, man. I'm not even supposed to be home, so I got through all that, well, then recruiting started just buzzing, and listen, honest truth is, I think it was an advantage for us at East Tennessee State for the kids not to visit, not that they get a bad visit, but they just had to make decisions. They couldn't drag it out. So all of a sudden, and we're coming off of 30-4 seasons, so we got momentum.
Yeah.
So now we're just popping kids right and left, really good players. And so that got done. I've never been done recruiting in April in my entire life, and then –
You're not anymore.
No. And then the schedule, I mean, I can tell you this, at East Tennessee State, we typically go into September, and the schedules, we still got to get a game. But now, there's no excuses. You call coach, hey, well, coach is out of town or he's on the golf, whatever. No, he's not. He's in the house. We need to talk about scheduling, So the schedule was starting to really come together, and I think they got a couple left. So, yeah, I mean, I had made the comment after we got our last commitment, got Donald Sloan from Kansas State. I was telling my staff, my wife, I was like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I was just kind of sitting there and it's just, I hadn't seen my staff face to face since that last meeting that we talked about until we came here on Thursday. I hadn't even seen them. Now, we talk on the phone every day, but I hadn't physically seen them until we came here.
So I'll wrap up with this. Have you got a sense yet about the excitement that the Wake Forest fan, because you can't get out and see people yet.
Yeah.
And do you have a sense as to how excited they are yet?
That's a really good question. I was just talking to Barry about that, Barry Fairclough. I asked, because he was telling me, Steve, man, these people, they're fired up and da-da-da. And I'm like, really? I mean, the only way I can tell is that my Twitter is getting smashed, okay? And that's a good thing. I don't mind that. But other than that, no, because I can't go to a restaurant. I can't go downtown. I can't be out and about meeting people, and it's not hard to recognize me because I walked, we're staying in a hotel, and I came down the hallway the other day, and the lady working there, she said, "Oh, you're the new basketball coach." I said, "What?" Because I know it's a bald head. I'm sure you can tell, but no, I really can't. Now, I've gotten a lot of great, messages and things like that, but it's hard, because I can't get out of here and go see people and listen to what they're saying and, and see what's going on.
Trust me, they're excited.
Good.
Just trust me. One more thing. I meant to ask this before. I see you've got like a trio of wristbands.
Yeah.
What do those signify, Coach?
Well, Fred Van Fleet and I are very, very close with the Raptors. And this is his band that he made, and it says "Bet on Yourself." And basically, he believes in that, and I believe in that. You got to bet on yourself. I'm on the board for Coaches versus Literacy. Coaches for Literacy.
I was about to say, you don't want to be versus literacy.
Sorry, Coaches for Literacy. And then this is a band right here that there's a young man in our home, Johnson City, named Noah. Noah has cancer, and Noah is a year, I think he's in my son's class, my youngest son, he's 16. And so we brought him to a game one day, and introduced the team, great young man. And so when we won the championship, I cut a piece of my net and sent it to him. And then he sent me this, and it just says, it really says "Cancer sucks" is what it says. And so he asked me to wear it, and I said I would. And so I got a lot of green going on here. I look like the Grinch, but it's, I don't know. I like wearing these things. I'll get a Wake one here pretty soon, and we'll trade out. But hey, I'll tell you this too. Being black and gold, that was my high school colors, and some ETSU fans got mad at me because I said that I bleed black and gold. And I'm like, well, listen, it's no disrespect. It's just where I went to high school compared to now. But the nice thing about black is it's very slimming. And during this COVID-19, I think I've packed on about 50 pounds because I saw these pictures, you know, they're taking all these pictures, right, the other day, and I saw them and I was like, whoa, you know, I got to get on a treadmill, you know, it's hard, you know, when you're stuck in the house, and then you, not only that, now you're stuck doing this, you know, working on this program 24/7.
I can relate, and I've got my daughter who's 20 years old is in from Western Carolina because obviously they don't have classes, and her and her boyfriend are here, and they're always up super late, and they're always late night snacking. You know, it's like this.
Well, that's you know, I'm up all night. You know, it's just not.
That's because you're working.
Good. Yeah, it's not good. So we'll get through it. You know, hopefully here soon and get back to that. I guess you would have to call it. I don't think you say normal. I guess you'd have to say the new normal. Yeah. You know, whatever the new normal is probably where we're headed.
Do you have any final words for Deacon Nation?
Well, yeah, I hope you can see in my face, in my voice, how excited I am for this wonderful opportunity to be your head coach. I really believe that you're going to really be proud of our program just by the way they play and the way they represent this institution. You know, I think a lot of teams talk about playing hard, but I don't think they really do. And I think we're going to play really hard and we're going to, you know, have some exciting moments. And I think our fans are going to want to, you know, they're going to want to get behind these guys. And I will tell you this, I've had conversations always with every one of these young men. I'm really impressed with these they're really good guys, man. Just talking to them on the phone. You know, I know they're young guys and we all mess up, you know, and that's just part of life of being a young man. But these guys, wow, you know, just really, really good people. And and I think they have a good connection amongst themselves. You know, they talk to each other a lot. And so I just, excited and can't wait to get out in the community, you know, and actually meet people. And, you know, don't ask me to play golf because we'll be social distancing because I'll be looking for my ball in the woods a lot while you're driving down the fairway. So that's why, you know, somebody said something about social distancing. I've been practicing that for a long time. I just didn't know what it was called. And so just excited and happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Coach Forbes. Best of luck in the coming weeks, and we'll be catching up shortly.